This is the place where you sort of worst photo. I want to go like that with my arm. Okay, let's talk eviction.
So the other reasons, lesser known, but they still exist. Mic check, mic check. Hi, this is Nicola from HMS Homes Real Estate. Today we're going to be talking a hot topic, eviction notices. Now, as a RERA licensed broker, I'm asked about this all the time, but my background is that I'm a UK qualified solicitor, still on the role of solicitors, but not practicing. So I take a keen interest in the legalities of matters. The rules in Dubai are very clear, they're very fair, but sadly I don't think everyone's playing fairly at the moment. So let's take a look at what the law says. Okay, so law on evictions is governed by Law 26 of 2007. It was later amended by Law 33 of 2008, and it states that a tenant can only be evicted in 3 circumstances. Your landlord plans to use the property for personal use, your landlord plans to renovate the properties, and it's got to be a serious renovation. It needs approval by Dubai municipalities. And thirdly, that they're selling. So your landlord is going to use one of the 3 legal reasons to evict you. Or if you're a landlord, one of these 3 reasons is the reason you're going to put on the legal eviction notice. The eviction notice generally comes from Dubai courts, or it can come from a notary, and it must be in writing, and it must specify one of the 3 reasons asking the tenant to leave. There's also service requirements, so you need to have proof that the eviction notice has been served. Okay, so reason number 1, your landlord wants to use the property for personal use. Now, if you as a tenant have a good relationship with your landlord, and as a landlord a good relationship with your tenant, 9 times out of 10, everybody knows that this is a true, fair and accurate situation. The tenant will vacate the property on the day of the vacating notice, and the landlord can take possession of the property. The landlord is prohibited from re-renting the property for the next 2 years. If the property is re-rented, then the tenant has the right to open a case at RERA and ask RERA to assess a claim for compensation on the grounds that they've had to move out and had to pay a higher compensatory sum for rent. Now, it's not always so straightforward. What if you don't entirely trust the reason given by your landlord? Or what if you're the landlord and you genuinely want to use the property and your tenant won't move out? What happens next? Well, the tenant doesn't actually have to move out. It's a little known fact that when a vacating notice is served for personal use, the landlord actually has to give proof that he has no other properties available for his personal use. Now, that can be very, very hard if a landlord owns a bulk of properties or is a company. But that proof should be served, and if the tenant doesn't receive it, then the tenant can say, I'm not going to move out. The landlord has to open a case at RERA and has to prove that he's got no other properties that are suitable for him to move in and that he genuinely needs to move in. And then the court can make the decision. Okay, legal eviction notice number 2. Your landlord wishes to sell the property. So if you've been living in the property for some time, you've got no plans to leave, it's always disappointing for a tenant to receive an eviction notice. But at the same time, the landlord, you want to sell, you want your property free and clear, so you've served this eviction notice. So there was a little controversy over this for a while, because it was believed that if you gave a vacating notice saying that you were selling the property and then you sold it, that vacating notice moved over with the sale and that the tenant had to move out. There was a couple of decisions that said, well, no, actually the new owner has to give a new vacating notice. So there were some decisions one way, some decisions another, and then there was some clarity given last year that when a property is sold, the eviction notice does carry over into the new owner. It makes sense, right? The new owner takes over the landlord's terms and conditions of the existing tenancy contract, gets the rent rebate, and so the eviction notice does also move over. Reason number 3 to be evicted legally in Dubai is that your landlord wishes to renovate the property. Now, this is rare. The renovation plans have to be, very considerable. It needs to be submitted to Dubai municipality for approval. It's never really going to happen in apartments. It's potentially going to happen in villas. So they are the 3 reasons that your landlord is allowed to legally evict you. You must have the notice in writing, it must be served properly, and you must have 12 months notice. You can't be asked to move within a month. Now, there are 3 reasons. There are actually a couple of other different reasons that you can be evicted from a property. So let's just quickly cover them. Okay, so they're the three main reasons that you can be legally evicted in Dubai with 12 months notice, so plenty of time to find somewhere else. But there are some other lesser known reasons, so let's talk about them while we're here. There is a reason that the government themselves wants to demolish the buildings and build something new. I've not heard of that one, but it does exist. The second one, if you fail to pay your rent. If somebody isn't paying their rent, as a landlord, you need that rent. And if your tenant isn't paying it, you can give them an eviction notice. They've got 30 days to bring the rent up to date, or you can start eviction proceedings. The other one, it's in everybody's rental contracts, but you must obey by the laws. So if you're doing anything illegal on the property, breaking the laws of the UAE or Dubai, subletting, acting in inappropriate ways, then your landlord can open proceedings to evict you. So always do everything correctly. Now, everybody seems to have this subject coming up at the minute. My landlord's sent an eviction notice. Do I have to go? My landlord's emailed me. My landlord's written it into my tenancy contract. One of the things that people don't seem to understand in Dubai is that you actually cannot contract out of the law. The law takes precedence. So you can write into a tenancy agreement, I can evict you from this premises with 30 days notice. The landlord can think that's okay, the tenant can sign believing it, but it doesn't mean anything. You have to abide by the rules of the UAE. So anything written in a contract must be succinct with the laws. If you're not sure, reach out to your trusted broker, a reputable broker, a lawyer, and take some advice on the situation. However, nothing is ever completely black and white. I always used to say that law is not science, it's an art form, and no matter how clear and fair the rules are, they are subject to interpretation. If you're a landlord and you're wanting to evict your tenant, then please make sure that you do understand the rules properly so that the eviction notice served is correct. I've spoken with clients recently who said, oh yes, my tenant's leaving next month because we wrote it into the tenancy agreement, or I've emailed them, and then that's just going to create bad feelings for everybody, because likely the tenant at the last minute is going to turn around and say, sorry, I need 12 months legal notice. So any questions, do feel free to get in touch. My name is Nicola Dickinson, HMS Homes Real Estate, 056 854 2067.